Ever struggled to figure out the right price for your tutoring services? Trust me, I've been there. In this video, I'm gonna share the main lessons that I've learned from trying different pricing strategies, so that you don't have to. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Polo, and when I was 18 I started my tutoring business, which generated over 100k. I made quite a few mistakes along the way. On this channel, I'm sharing all the main lessons that I've learned from those mistakes. Now, let's get into the video. Lesson number 1. Don't be afraid to raise prices. One of the most surprising lessons I've learned came when we decided to raise prices in a tutoring partnership. Initially, I thought that we were about to make a huge mistake because I was afraid of us losing students. And initially, we were losing some. So I felt like my worst fear was coming true. But by the end of the month, I realized that our revenue was actually higher and I was making more profit while helping fewer students. So what that meant was that those students, they were getting more personalized support, and I was getting paid more for pretty much doing the same work, maybe like with paying a little bit more attention to the students. So as it turns out, charging more can sometimes work better for everyone. Have you ever raised your prices before? If you did, let me know how that worked out for you in the comments. Lesson number 2, don't compete on lowest price. After leaving the tutoring partnership, I was trying to figure out the way to stand out on my own. My instinct was to lower the prices, thinking it would give me a competitive advantage. I just assumed that if I offered the best service at the lowest price, students would run to me. It seemed like the perfect strategy. But here's what actually happened. So I dropped my prices, hoping to attract more students, but the number of them actually remained the same, and I just ended up making less money while working the same amount. So lowering prices didn't give me the edge I expected. It just left me with more work for less reward. So the takeaway, lowering your prices might seem like a smart move, but it can actually hurt your business and devalue your service. Have you ever tried lowering your prices? Let me know in the comments what happened if you did. Lesson number 3, make sure you're keeping enough. When I first started pricing my services, I only thought about what students were paying. I didn't think much about how much I was actually keeping after covering my costs. But every business has costs, whether that's supplies, software, or the time you spend planning your lessons. And if your prices don't leave enough room to cover these costs, you'll struggle to pay yourself and you'll struggle to grow. So that's when I learned to look at my pricing differently. Instead of just focusing on what students would pay, I focused on what I needed to keep. And that change made a huge difference. Once I started pricing with this in mind, I was able to cover my costs, earn enough to reinvest in my business, and honestly just help more students. So pricing with what's called margins in mind, and margins is basically how much you keep after covering all sorts of costs, just makes everything work better. And one way to do that is by offering students a few different pricing options, like a budget option, mid-range, and a premium. But that's a whole strategy in itself, and I'll cover it in another video. The main idea that I'm trying to communicate here is that pricing isn't just about what students pay. It's about making sure your business earns enough to thrive. Pricing your services is one of the most important decisions you'll make as a tutor. These 3 lessons, raising your prices and avoiding the race to the bottom, focusing on what you keep, can help you build a profitable and sustainable business in the long term. Remember, pricing isn't just about the numbers. It's also about valuing your own work and creating a win-win situation for you and your students.